Most people believe strength is locked inside buildings made of steel and mirrors. But the human body was building strength long before gyms existed. Your muscles do not recognize machines, memberships, or locations. They recognize tension, intention, and consistency. From the moment you stand from the floor, carry a load, push against resistance, or control your own body weight, biology begins its quiet work. Strength is not something you visit. It is something your body expresses when it is challenged in the right way. The human body does not understand the concept of a gym, a brand, or a piece of equipment. It understands only signals. These signals come in the form of mechanical tension, metabolic stress, and repeated demand placed on tissues over time. When you lift your own body from the floor, push against gravity, hold yourself still under strain, or slow down a movement to increase control, your muscles receive the same biological message they will receive from any external weight. That message is simple and ancient: adapt or fall behind. This is how strength has always been built. Long before structured exercise spaces existed, long before machines attempted to isolate muscles, long before numbers were assigned effort. Muscle tissue is remarkably honest. It does not care where resistance comes from, whether the resistance is a heavy object, your own body weight, or the pull of gravity during a slow, controlled movement. The fibers inside the muscle experience microscopic disruption. This disruption is not damage in a destructive sense, but information. It tells the body that the current level of strength is insufficient for the demands being placed upon it. In response, the body begins a process of repair and reinforcement, adding more protein structures, improving fiber coordination, and increasing capacity to produce force. This process does not require a gym. It requires challenge that is appropriate, repeated, and respected. At home, resistance often comes from angles, leverage, and time. A push-up on the floor may seem simple, but when the body is aligned correctly, it demands coordination from the chest, shoulders, arms, core, and even the legs. A squat without weights forces the body to manage balance, joint stability, and muscle engagement across multiple systems. When movement is slowed down, when pauses are added, when control becomes a focus, the muscles remain under tension longer, amplifying the signal for adaptation. Science consistently shows that muscles respond strongly to time under tension, not just maximal load. This means that how you move can matter as much as what you lift. Another critical factor is consistency, which is often underestimated. A gym can provide tools, but it cannot provide discipline. Strength is built through repeated exposure to challenge over weeks, months, and years. Home training removes many barriers to consistency. There is no travel time, no waiting for equipment, no psychological resistance associated with unfamiliar environments. When movement becomes part of daily life rather than a special event, the body adapts more reliably. The muscle does not know whether effort occurred in a gym or a living room. It only knows that effort occurred again and again. The idea that equipment is necessary often comes from confusing stimulus with spectacle. Machines and weights make resistance visible and measurable, which can be motivating, but they are not the source of strength. The source is the internal response to external demand. Even simple actions like carrying groceries, standing from the floor repeatedly, or holding a position against gravity activate complex muscular chains. When these actions are performed intentionally, with awareness of posture and breathing, they become powerful training tools. The body evolved to move in this way, responding to varied, functional demands rather than isolated mechanical patterns. From a physiological perspective, muscle fibers are recruited based on demand. When an activity requires more force or stability, the nervous system recruits additional fibers, including those responsible for strength and power. Bodyweight movements can recruit these fibers effectively when they are sufficiently challenging. Variations in leverage, range of motion, and unilateral loading can dramatically increase difficulty without adding external weight. For example, shifting from a two-legged squat to a single-leg movement multiplies the demand on stabilizing muscles and neural control. The muscle does not register the absence of equipment. It registers the increased requirement to produce force and maintain balance. There is also the matter of connective tissue, which includes tendons, ligaments, and fascia. These structures adapt more slowly than muscle, but are essential for long-term strength and injury resistance. Gradual, consistent loading through natural movements is one of the most effective ways to strengthen these tissues. Home-based training often encourages this slower progression, as movements are guided by body awareness rather than maximal numbers. This creates a foundation of resilience that supports sustainable strength over time. Breathing plays a subtle but important role as well. At home, without external pressure, people often breathe more naturally during movement. Proper breathing enhances oxygen delivery, supports core stability, and regulates the nervous system. A calmer nervous system improves motor control and reduces unnecessary muscle tension, allowing strength to develop more efficiently. Stress hormones that interfere with recovery are lower when exercise feels integrated rather than forced. This internal environment directly influences how well muscles adapt to training. Strength is also influenced by energy availability and recovery, both of which are shaped by lifestyle rather than location. Training at home often aligns better with daily routines, making it easier to eat appropriately, hydrate consistently, and rest adequately. Muscle growth and strength gains occur during recovery, not during exercise itself. When recovery is compromised, progress stalls regardless of how advanced equipment may be. The body prioritizes survival over performance, and no machine can override that biological reality. There's a misconception that real results require extreme methods. In reality, the body favors steady, progressive exposure to manageable stress. Home training naturally encourages this approach. Movements can be adjusted day by day based on energy levels, sleep quality, and physical feedback. This adaptability respects the body's signals rather than overriding them. Over time, this builds not only strength but trust between the individual and their body, which supports long-term adherence and improvement. The cultural image of strength is often tied to appearance, but biologically, strength is about function. It is the ability to generate force, absorb impact, and maintain control across a range of movements. Home training excels at developing this kind of strength because it is rooted in real-world movement patterns. Pushing, pulling, squatting, hinging, and stabilizing are fundamental actions that the body recognizes and responds efficiently. When these actions are trained regularly, muscles develop in harmony rather than isolation. It is also important to consider age and longevity. As people grow older, maintaining muscle mass and strength becomes critical for metabolic health, joint integrity, and independence. Home-based resistance training is accessible and scalable across life stages. The same biological principles apply whether the individual is young or old. Gentle resistance still signals muscle fibers to maintain their function. Controlled movement still supports neural coordination. The absence of equipment does not limit these benefits. In many cases, it enhances safety and sustainability. Ultimately, muscles are adaptive systems governed by biological laws that do not change with trends or locations. Resistance, effort, recovery, and repetition are the variables that matter. When these are present, strength develops. When they are absent, no environment can compensate. Home training, when approached with intention and understanding, aligns perfectly with these laws. It strips strength down to its essentials and allows the body to respond as it was designed to, quietly building capability through honest work and consistent signals that say once again the demand has increased and the body must rise to meet it again and again until adaptation becomes the new normal and movement feels lighter and more control with each passing day, and the muscles continue to respond not because of where the work is done, but because the work is done at all. When people think about strength, they usually picture muscle size or visible definition. But beneath every movement lies a silent system that decides how much strength you can actually use. This system is a nervous system, and it is the first to adapt whenever you begin training, especially when training is done at home with deliberate, controlled movements. Before a muscle fiber contracts, a signal must travel from the brain to the spinal cord and into the muscle. The quality, speed, and coordination of the signal determine how much force is produced and how safely it is applied. Strength, in this sense, is not just built in muscle tissue, but taught to the nervous system through repeated experience. Home training naturally emphasizes this neurological component because it relies heavily on body awareness and self-control. Without machines guiding the movement path, the brain must actively coordinate multiple joints and muscles at the same time. A simple bodyweight squat requires communication between the brain, hips, knees, ankles, spine, and core. Each repetition becomes a lesson in balance and timing. Over time, the nervous system becomes more efficient, learning to recruit the right muscles at the right moment with less wasted effort. This efficiency often translates into noticeable strength gains even before any visible muscle growth occurs. The nervous system prioritizes safety. When it senses instability or unfamiliar demand, it limits force output to protect the body. This is why beginners often feel weak, even when their muscles have potential. Through consistent home training, the nervous system gradually learns that certain movements are safe. As confidence increases at a neurological level, inhibitory signals decrease, allowing muscles to express more of their available strength. This process is subtle but powerful, and it explains why controlled, repeated practice can lead to significant improvements without increasing external load. Stability is a key element of neurological strength, and home exercises tend to challenge it constantly. When you hold a plank, perform a single leg movement, or control a slow push-up, small stabilizing muscles are activated to keep joints aligned. These muscles send continuous feedback to the brain about position and tension. This feedback loop refines motor control, improving posture and reducing unnecessary strain. Over time, the brain builds more accurate internal maps of the body, a phenomenon known as improved proprioception, which enhances both strength and coordination. Another important factor is movement precision. In environments where heavy equipment is absent, precision becomes the main variable. The nervous system thrives on precision because it allows for cleaner signal transmission. When movements are rushed or sloppy, the brain receives mixed information and responds conservatively. When movements are slow and intentional, neural pathways strengthen. This is similar to learning a skill rather than simply exerting force. Each repetition reinforces a pattern, and over time that pattern becomes more stable and powerful. The relationship between breathing and the nervous system is often overlooked, yet it plays a crucial role in strength development. At home, people are more likely to breathe naturally without external pressure or distraction. Controlled breathing calms the nervous system and improves communication between the brain and muscles. Proper breathing supports core stability, which acts as a central hub for force transfer throughout the body. When the core is neurologically engaged, strength in the limbs increases as a secondary effect, making movements feel stronger and more controlled. Stress also influences neural strength. High stress levels elevate certain hormones that interfere with motor learning and recovery. Home training environments are typically less stressful, which allows the nervous system to remain in a receptive state. In this state, learning and adaptation occur more efficiently. The brain is more willing to explore new movement patterns, and muscles respond with better coordination rather than excessive tension. This relaxed focus is ideal for building functional strength that lasts. One of the most profound neurological benefits of home training is the development of mind-muscle connection. This term is often used casually, but it describes a real neurological phenomenon where conscious attention enhances muscle activation. When you focus on how a movement feels rather than how it looks, neural activation increases in the targeted muscles. Over time, this improves voluntary control, allowing you to generate more force with less effort. This is not a mental trick, but a measurable change in neural firing patterns. Balance training is another area where the nervous system plays a dominant role. Many home exercises naturally incorporate balance because the body must stabilize itself without external support. Standing on one leg, shifting weight slowly, or maintaining alignment during asymmetrical movements forces the nervous system to integrate sensory input from the eyes, inner ear, and muscles. This integration enhances overall motor control, which supports strength expression across all activities, not just exercise. As neural efficiency improves, movements become smoother and less taxing. This reduces energy waste and lowers injury risk. The body learns to distribute force evenly rather than overloading specific joints or muscles. Over time, this creates a form of strength that feels integrated rather than forced. You may notice that daily tasks become easier, posture improves without conscious effort, and fatigue decreases during physical activity. These changes reflect a nervous system that has learned to manage the body more effectively. The adaptability of the nervous system also explains why progress can continue at home for long periods. By altering tempo, range of motion, or movement complexity, you introduce new neural challenges without changing equipment. The brain responds to novelty by forming new connections, which in turn supports further strength gains. This keeps training effective and engaging while respecting the body's limits. Neurological strength is deeply connected to longevity. As people age, declines in neural coordination often precede muscle loss. Home training that emphasizes control, balance, and awareness helps preserve these neural pathways. This maintains not only strength but independence and confidence in movement. The nervous system remains engaged, adaptable, and responsive, supporting physical health across a lifespan. Ultimately, muscles are tools, but the nervous system is the operator. Home training strengthens this operator by demanding attention, control, and consistency. Over time, the brain learns to trust the body responds with greater capability, and strength emerges as a natural expression of coordinated effort rather than brute force, quietly reshaping how movement feels in everyday life as the nervous system continues refining its signals and the muscles respond with increasing clarity and efficiency each time the body is asked to move with purpose and control. Functional strength is built through movement that respects how the body is designed to work as an integrated system rather than as isolated parts. When training relies on body weight, especially in a home environment, the emphasis naturally shifts toward movements that require the entire body to cooperate. Pushing the floor away, lowering the body with control, holding a position against gravity, or transitioning smoothly between postures all demand coordination across muscles, joints, and connective tissues. These movements teach the body not only to generate force, but to manage it responsibly, which is a foundation of strength that lasts. Body weight training places the body in direct conversation with gravity. Gravity becomes a constant load, and how you position yourself against it determines the intensity of the work. By adjusting leverage, such as changing hand or foot placement, altering angles, or shifting weight distribution, resistance increases without adding external objects. This teaches the body to adapt internally, recruiting stabilizing muscles that often remain underused in machine-based training. As these stabilizers become stronger, the larger muscles can express force more efficiently, creating a balanced and resilient system. Control is a defining feature of effective bodyweight movement. When you slow down a push-up or a squat, muscles remain under tension longer, sending a sustained signal for adaptation. This prolonged engagement increases metabolic demand and enhances muscle fiber recruitment. Research consistently shows that time under tension is a powerful driver of strength and muscle development. At home, where speed is optional and awareness is encouraged, movements often become slower and more deliberate. This allows the body to fully experience each phase of a movement, strengthening not just the muscles but the joints and connective tissues that support them. Another critical aspect of bodyweight training is joint integrity. Joints thrive on movement that is controlled and varied. When you perform bodyweight exercises, joints move through natural ranges while muscles actively support them. This improves joint lubrication, nourishes cartilage, and strengthens surrounding tissues. Over time, this reduces stiffness and enhances mobility, which directly contributes to strength. A joint that moves well allows muscles to produce force more safely and effectively. This is one reason bodyweight training often results in fewer injuries and more sustainable progress. Balance and symmetry are also central to functional strength. Many bodyweight movements challenge balance by design, especially when performed unilaterally. Standing on one leg, shifting weight slowly, or stabilizing the torso during asymmetrical movements forces the body to address imbalances. These imbalances often go unnoticed until they cause discomfort or injury. Home training brings them into awareness gently, allowing correction through repeated, mindful practice. As balance improves, the nervous system coordinates muscle activation more evenly, distributing load across the body rather than concentrating stress in vulnerable areas. The absence of external equipment also encourages creativity and adaptability. A chair becomes a support for modified movements. A wall provides resistance or balance. The floor becomes a training surface that challenges stability. This variability exposes the body to a wide range of stimuli, which enhances overall physical intelligence. The body learns to respond to different demands with efficiency and confidence. This adaptability is a hallmark of real-world strength, where conditions are rarely predictable or controlled. Breathing naturally integrates into bodyweight training, especially when movements are paced and deliberate. Proper breathing supports core engagement and stabilizes the spine. The diaphragm works in harmony with abdominal and pelvic muscles to create internal pressure that protects the spine during effort. This internal support system is essential for functional strength. When breathing is coordinated with movement, energy is transferred more effectively and fatigue is reduced. Over time, this integration becomes automatic, enhancing performance in daily activities. Functional strength is not about maximum output, but about usable capacity. Bodyweight training develops this capacity by reinforcing movement patterns that are directly transferable to everyday life. Standing up on the floor, climbing stairs, carrying objects, and maintaining posture all rely on the same fundamental actions practiced during home training. As these actions become stronger and more efficient, daily life requires less effort, and the body feels more capable and responsive. Consistency is easier to maintain when training feels natural and accessible. Bodyweight exercises at home eliminate many barriers that interrupt routine. This consistency allows adaptations to accumulate gradually. Small improvements compound over time, leading to significant gains in strength and endurance. The body responds to this steady input by refining movement efficiency and increasing muscular resilience. This slow, reliable progression is often more sustainable than aggressive training approaches that prioritize rapid results. There is also a psychological dimension to functional strength. Training with bodyweight fosters a sense of autonomy and trust in one's own body. You learn to rely on internal feedback rather than external metrics. This awareness improves self-regulation, allowing you to adjust intensity based on how you feel rather than pushing through discomfort blindly. This compassionate approach aligns with how the body naturally adapts, supporting long-term health and performance. As functional strength develops, posture often improves without conscious effort. Muscles responsible for maintaining alignment become more active and coordinated. The spine is supported dynamically rather than held rigidly. This reduces chronic tension and discomfort, particularly in the lower back and shoulders. Improved posture enhances breathing and circulation, creating a positive feedback loop that supports overall well-being. Bodyweight training also respects the principle of specificity while remaining broadly applicable. Movements can be tailored to individual needs and goals without losing their functional nature. This personalization ensures that strength gains are relevant and meaningful. Over time, the body becomes not just stronger but more intelligent in its movement, capable of adapting to varied demands with ease. Ultimately, functional strength built through controlled bodyweight movement is a conversation between the body and gravity, guided by awareness and patience. It is strength that supports life rather than dominating it. As the body learns to manage its own weight with confidence and precision, it develops a quiet power that extends beyond exercise into every movement of the day, continuing to evolve as long as the body is challenged gently and consistently in ways that honor its natural design and allow each movement to reinforce the next in a continuous flow of adaptation. And resilience recovery is often misunderstood as inactivity, but biologically it is an active and highly intelligent process through which the body rebuilds itself. Every time you place stress on your muscles through training, whether home or anywhere else, you create microscopic disruptions in muscle fibers and connective tissues. These disruptions are not failures but signals. They tell the body that the current structure must be reinforced. Recovery is a period during which the body interprets these signals and responds by repairing tissue to a higher standard than before. Without sufficient recovery, this message remains unanswered, and strength cannot develop regardless of how hard or how often you train. At a cellular level, recovery is where protein synthesis occurs. Amino acids are assembled into new contractile proteins that thicken muscle fibers and improve their ability to generate force. This process is energy dependent and requires adequate nutrition and rest. Training merely initiates the request for adaptation. Recovery fulfills it. When recovery is compromised, the body prioritizes basic survival functions over muscular development. This is why excessive training without rest often leads to stagnation or regression rather than progress. Sleep is one of the most powerful recovery tools available, yet it is often undervalued. During deep sleep, the body releases hormones that drive tissue repair and regulate metabolism. Neural pathways formed during training are consolidated, improving motor learning and coordination. Home training often aligns better with natural sleep patterns because it reduces external stressors such as travel, scheduling pressure, and performance anxiety. When the nervous system is calmer, sleep quality improves and recovery becomes more efficient. Rest days are not pauses in progress, but essential components of it. During rest, inflammation triggered by training subsides, allowing tissues to heal. This process strengthens tendons and ligaments, which adapt more slowly than muscles. Ignoring rest increases the risk of overuse injuries and disrupts the balance between stress and adaptation. Home training environments often encourage a more intuitive approach to rest because individuals are more attuned to their energy levels and physical feedback. This responsiveness supports long-term strength development. Nutrition plays a critical role in recovery by providing the raw materials for repair. Adequate protein intake supplies amino acids needed for muscle rebuilding. Carbohydrates replenish energy stores, supporting hormonal balance and nervous system function. Healthy fats contribute to cellular integrity and inflammation control. Hydration supports nutrient transport and waste removal. When training is integrated into daily life at home, nutrition often becomes more consistent and aligned with recovery needs rather than being rushed or neglected. The nervous system also requires recovery. Training challenges neural pathways, and without adequate rest, neural fatigue can limit strength expression. This fatigue manifests as reduced coordination, slower reaction times, and diminished force output. Gentle movement, stretching, and relaxation techniques support neural recovery by promoting blood flow and calming stress responses. Home environments provide the flexibility to incorporate these practices naturally, supporting both physical and mental restoration. Recovery is influenced by psychological factors as well. Chronic stress elevates hormones that interfere with tissue repair and immune function. Training at home often reduces comparative stress and external pressure, creating a more supportive mental environment. This psychological ease enhances recovery by allowing the body to remain in a state conducive to healing and adaptation. When exercise feels like self-care rather than obligation, recovery processes operate more effectively. Active recovery is another valuable component. Light movement increases circulation, delivering nutrients to recovering tissues and removing metabolic byproducts. Activities such as walking, gentle mobility work, or relaxed stretching keep the body engaged without adding significant stress. These practices maintain joint health and prevent stiffness, supporting readiness for future training sessions. Home training encourages active recovery because it is easier to integrate movement throughout the day. Consistency in recovery habits is as important as consistency in training. Irregular sleep, inconsistent nutrition, and unpredictable stress disrupt the body's adaptive rhythms. When recovery practices become routine, the body anticipates and optimizes repair processes. This regularity enhances training efficiency, allowing strength gains to accumulate steadily. Home-based routines often support this consistency by fitting naturally into daily schedules. The relationship between recovery and longevity is significant. As people age, recovery capacity changes, making rest even more critical. Respecting recovery preserves muscle mass, joint function, and metabolic health. Home training that emphasizes recovery fosters sustainable strength across a lifespan. It allows individuals to adjust intensity and volume based on recovery feedback, rather than rigid programs. Recovery also reinforces self-awareness. Paying attention to how the body feels after training builds an understanding of personal limits and capacities. This awareness prevents overtraining and supports smarter progression. Over time, this dialogue between effort and rest cultivates a balanced approach to strength development that prioritizes health alongside performance. Ultimately, recovery is the environment in which strength is realized. Training provides a stimulus, but recovery determines the outcome. When rest, nutrition, sleep, and stress management are aligned, the body responds with resilience and adaptability. Strength becomes a natural consequence of respecting the body's need to rebuild and renew itself, continuing to grow quietly in the spaces between effort as the body restores balance and prepares itself for the next challenge with tissues that are stronger, systems that are more efficient, and a nervous system that is ready to coordinate movement with greater confidence and control each time the cycle begins. Again, sustainable strength does not emerge from comparison, pressure, or the desire to meet an external image of fitness. It grows from an internal relationship with the body, built on awareness, patience, and respect for biological limits. When training is guided by self-awareness, the body is no longer treated as an object to be forced into change, but as a living system that responds intelligently to how it is treated. This shift in perspective changes everything about how strength develops and how long it lasts. The human body is constantly communicating. Sensations such as fatigue, tension, ease, discomfort, and energy are not obstacles to progress, but information. When you learn to listen to these signals, training becomes more precise and effective. Instead of pushing blindly, you adjust intensity, volume, and rest based on real feedback. This allows muscles to be challenged enough to adapt without being overwhelmed. Over time, this dialogue builds trust between the mind and the body, and that trust supports consistency, which is a true driver of long-term strength. External validation often disrupts this process. When training is motivated by comparison, appearance, or social approval, people tend to ignore internal signals in favor of external benchmarks. This can lead to excessive stress, poor recovery, and inconsistent effort. Stress hormones rise, sleep quality declines, and the nervous system becomes defensive rather than adaptive. Strength gained under these conditions is often fragile and short-lived. In contrast, when motivation comes from internal goals, such as feeling capable, moving better, or supporting health, the nervous system remains calm and receptive, allowing adaptation to occur more smoothly. Self-awareness enhances movement quality. When attention is placed on how a movement feels rather than how it looks, muscles activate more efficiently and joints move more safely. This focused attention improves motor control and reduces unnecessary tension. Over time, movements become smoother and more economical, conserving energy and reducing strain. Strength built in this way feels integrated rather than forced, expressing itself naturally during daily activities without conscious effort.